And I heard about this wealthy man. He was known for being very eccentric. He's having a big party at his house. In his backyard, he had this huge swimming pool filled with sharks and alligators. He announced to his guests, anyone that will swim across my pool, I'll give you anything you want. In a few minutes, there was a big splash. This man was in there going 90-0, dodging sharks, maneuvering around alligators, made it to the other side just in the nick of time. The owner said, wow, you're the bravest person I've ever met. Now, what do you want? The man said, what I want more than anything else is the name of the person that just pushed me in. I like to start with something funny, and I heard about this pastor. He was finishing up a fiery sermon on self-control. He said with great passion, if I had all the beer in the world, I'd throw it in the river. With greater fervor, if I had all the wine in the world, I'd throw it in the river. Almost at the top of his lungs, if I had all the whiskey in the world, I'd throw it in the river. He sat down, song leader came up, said for our closing song, let's sing hymn 365, Shall We Gather at the River. Say it like you mean it. This is my Bible. I am what it says I am. I have what it says I have. I can do what it says I can do. I like to start with something funny, and a friend of mine told me that during this coronavirus shutdown, he's been stuck in his house so long, he's already been through 32 books. I said, wow, that's amazing. He said, yeah, it's been a lot of coloring. Say it like you mean it. And this is just a joke. Please don't be offended, but I heard about this man. He was sitting in a dark restaurant. He said to the lady next to him, would you like to hear a blonde joke? The lady said, well, before you tell me, you should know that I'm blonde, 6 foot tall, and a professional bodybuilder. The lady next to me is blonde, 6'2", and a professional wrestler. And the lady next to her is blonde, 6'5", and the kickboxing champion of the world. Now, do you still want to tell me? He thought about it a moment, said, no, not if I'm going to have to explain it 3 times. I like to start with something funny. I heard about this lady. She surprised a burglar in her house late one night. She was home alone, didn't have a weapon. She didn't know what to do. Finally, she thought, I'll quote a scripture verse. She shouted out Acts 2:38. The burglar suddenly froze in his tracks, wouldn't move. Soon the police arrived. They were amazed at how a woman with no weapon could do this. They asked the burglar, what was it about that scripture that had such an effect on you? He said, scripture? What scripture? I thought she said she had an axe and 238s. I like to start with something funny. I heard about this man. He was on an overnight train, and he said to the conductor, I'm a very sound sleeper. Please wake me up in Philadelphia and make sure I get off. I may be groggy. I may tell you no, but I have to get off. The conductor said, you have my word. I'll make it happen. The man woke up the next morning in New York City. He had missed his stop. He was so upset, he let the conductor have it. A lady watching said, wow, that man was so angry. The conductor said, if you think he was angry, you should have seen the man we put off in Philadelphia. Services. I'd like to start with something funny. And I heard about this pastor that was in the lobby after the service greeting people. And he saw a man that he hadn't seen in a long, long time. And he pulled him aside and said, sir, you need to join the army of the Lord. And the man said, what are you talking about? I'm in the army of the Lord. The pastor said, well, how come I only see you on Christmas and Easter? The man whispered back, I'm in the Secret Service. Say it like you mean it. This is my Bible. I am what it says I am. I have what it says I have. I like to start with something funny. And I heard about this lady that was on an airplane reading her Bible. And the guy next to her said, you don't believe all that stuff in there, do you? She said, of course I do. It's the Bible. He said, well, what about that guy that got swallowed by a whale? She said, you mean Jonah? Yes, I believe that too. He said, well, how could he possibly live all that time inside of a well? She thought about it a moment, said, I don't know. When I get to heaven, I'll have to ask him. He laughed and said, what if he's not in heaven? She said, then you'll have to ask him. Say it like you mean it. This is my Bible. I like to start with something funny, and don't be offended. It's just a joke. But I heard about these 3 people, a Russian, an American, and a blonde. They were talking together, and the Russian proudly said, we were the first ones in space. The American said, well, we were the first ones on the moon. The blonde said, that's nothing. We're going to be the first ones on the sun. And the American, the Russian, they laughed. You can't go to the sun. It's too hot. You'd be burned up. The blonde said, we know that. We're not that dumb. We're going to go at night. All right, y'all. I'm married to a beautiful, smart